Yo, this is KD,
And this is David.
and we are the K&D Exchange, where we exchange music, and as a result, we exchange ideas, bridging the gap between old and new, with all original music produced by. Enjoy. What up, what up, what up? We are back, the K&D Exchange, with your boy KD and your boy David. David, what's going on from that side of the screen?
What happening? Yeah, man, all good. I might sound different, disclaimer, like back to the old school headset. Basically, like last couple of weeks I've been trying to mic out and it is so sensitive that it picks up everything. So I need to clear
the rain.
Yeah, man, I need to clear like a nice little like soundproof corner or something like that and like record in that. So until I do that, it will be headset things.
Fair enough.
Apart from that, man, we're all good. We're all good out here.
We're all good. That's good. Okay, cool. So we are the K&D Exchange again for new listeners. For returning listeners. Thank you very much for your support so far. For new listeners, we exchange albums every week and we swap who exchanges the album. And the idea is to bridge the gap between our tastes and background in terms of the music that we give. So if I give an album, it's something that I'm familiar with. David will not be familiar with, and vice versa. And that way we come in with two different perspectives on the same project. We also do a stereo talks. Probably at this point, it's like used to be every Thursday. It's kind of 2 Thursdays now. That's how it seems to have kind of gone. But regardless, when they do happen, they're on Thursdays at 8 p.m. on the stereo app, where you can listen in live and drop in your voice notes and add to the conversations. And we usually talk about kind of like off-album discussion topics. So we've talked about Lil Nas X. We've talked about what it's like being an actual musician. We've talked about women in hip hop, and what else? I can't remember what else we've talked about. Cancel culture. That was a really good one. Because you get a lot of audience participation, which is really good. And now we can have up to 5 people. So if you feel like you have a topic you want to discuss, or if you feel like you'd be a good, credible, good source of value to the conversation, you can also join us as part of the conversation. Obviously, we'll premeditate that. But yeah, so we put those up. We do those every Thursday. Well, if we do those, it will be on a Thursday, 8 p.m. And then we put them up the following Wednesday as part of our regular podcast rotation, so you can, come back and listen to it if you weren't able to catch it. They're also all saved on the stereo app. So grab that shit, make a account and follow us. So follow me at KD94, KAEDEE94. Follow David at D_A_RENOIR. Right. We are on exchange number 18 of the series. David, this is an exchange that you gave to me. What did you give me to listen to? Bang, bang.
Very, very, very strange way of introing that, isn't it, mate? I was so taken aback. I was like, I don't know what to make of it. But anyway, so last episode, bro, I gave you Diamond Eyes by the ever-present band, the Deftones. It was released in March of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Runtime of 49 minutes.
49 minutes.
Unless it's the deluxe version, which may or may not be longer. I'm not sure which one you listen to.
I didn't listen to the deluxe.
Good, because I don't think it adds too much to the overall album, right?
I only noticed there was a deluxe yesterday.
That's cool, man. Don't worry about it. But yeah, this has been fun to revisit because I haven't listened to this album in its entirety in years, and I would be very, very interested to know that, what you as a predominantly hip hop head would make
Yeah.
of this. So please take it away.
What would you classify genre wise this being? I feel like I've asked you before, but I can't
Deftones are in their own lane, really. So they're kind of melodic heavy rock.
Okay.
Essentially, they're their own thing. Many, they when they first sort of came out, they were labeled as like new metal because it was easy to label them, and their sound wasn't as expansive. And the main singer, Chino Marino, he would also, as well as singing and screaming, the very sort of like emo-y type delivery, but he would also rap as well back in the day. So that's what kind of lumped them into the whole new metal thing. And they were hyper aggressive, like compared to, if you compare this album to like some of their early stuff, there are songs like Elite or When Girls Telephone Boys. It's complete chaos. It's brilliant chaos. But this is a lot more. They came into their own lane, I think, with this album.
Yeah, I think I read that they are known as one of the most experimental metal bands or something like that. That's how it was written.
Yeah.
Other thing I read. And you said this is their most accessible album, didn't you?
So in going back and thinking about that statement, I don't know if it is the most accessible. I think for me, because I'm a long-term fan, and as heavy as the album is, it only occurred to me today that this album it's really like tonally like heavy, as in how the guitars sound and the bass. And that was when I think this is the first album that Steph, I can't remember his full name, Steph, the guitarist. I think this is the first time he started using 7-string guitars, because normally he was using 6 strings. Wait, can that be? No, I think this is the album where he started using 8-string guitars. That's it. So it's got that extra level of like heaviness. But yeah. Sorry, I forgot how heavy this was. This is kind of light to their other stuff for me, anyway. But
well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I can't really imagine what their other material sounds like. Not that, like, just again, I'm new to this kind of music, so I don't know what's considered experimental and what's not. There's no real framework for me to go off of. You could show me experimental hip hop, and I'll be like, yeah, because I have a framework for what traditional hip hop is, or what the standard kind of hip hop is now, back in the day, whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's brand new to me. It kind of like, when we did Rage Against the Machine, I really liked that album, and I still do. I still need to go back and really listen to it again properly. But
it's phenomenal music, that is.
Yeah, it's just really, really well put together. It's just really good, and the sound stays in my head. And when you like visualize the music, I visualize it literally pleasing my ears. Like I imagine it hovering around my ears. Like it just has this it has this harshness and this grit, but it's so well put together that it's not like off-putting to listen to, and everything sits in the right. I remember thinking about how everything sonically sat in the right place on that album. This one, I'm not gonna lie to you, I found it a bit difficult to get into this one. Just I listened to it a couple times to begin with, and it kind of would like go into the background for me. And there was one point where I didn't even notice I was 6 songs deep into the album.
Yeah.
I hadn't even realized the song had changed. And I was like, how much time has passed between starting this album and what I was doing? Because it feels like I've just been listening to the same opening track. But this is in the background for me, right? Because again, all I'm hearing is a lot of, I'm just hearing the singing and the guitars and all that sort of stuff. The variation is very subtle. And I think some of these songs, even when I did a proper sit down listen, sometimes I had to look at the iPad or whatever to realize, oh, it has gone into the next song. Something sounds a bit different.
Yeah.
it's quite seamless, right? It's in terms of the song transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I kind of struggled to get this into rotation.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, to like want to listen to it. Like I'd listen to it and then listen to it again in the background, or when I'm driving somewhere, I'd be like, okay, let's put the album on. And then it would kind of tune out into the background. And then I would think, okay, no, I need to listen to this. I need to listen to it. But I'd find it hard to bring it up. Do you know what I mean? Like to actually play it. I'd try and get everything else I wanted to listen to out of the way so that I could like go into it. You know, it's there was some cool stuff on here. This is the thing. It's like it's not like the Payable on Death album where it was like there's something there, but it wasn't going fully over the edge. This I can understand why it has a kind of there's a strong fan base behind it. Like I spoke to my mate about it as well. I said, "Oh, I've got this this like rock album or metal album. I don't even know what it is to listen to," because he sent me something to listen to that we're working on, and I said, he asked me if I'd listened to it yet. It was like a mix of a thing that we're working on. I said no, my ears are fatigued. I've been having to listen to this this metal or this rock album that David gave me for the podcast, and he was like, he's into that stuff as well as hip hop or whatever else. And he said, which one? Who is it? I said, oh, Deftones, Diamond Eyes. He was like, yeah, I can't imagine you liking them. I really love them, but I can't imagine you liking them. I was like, oh shit. Okay, that's fair enough then. That makes sense then if he thinks that I wouldn't get into it. Because the thing is with Payable on Death, it was like, I can't remember exactly what we said, but there was like something was there, but something wasn't there at the same time. It didn't go further. You described it as like someone, kind of your friend, like just playing in a band at like a wedding or something, and you're like, yeah, they're cool. Like, yeah, they're really good. They can play, they can sing, but I'm not going to go buy their tunes or anything like that.
Yeah, that's it.
That's how you described it. For this though, it's a step beyond that. I understand why people would like it if they're into this kind of thing. So for me, I picked out like moments on here that I kind of liked, and weirdly, it was more towards the second half. I picked out more kind of moments that I liked. So we go through it. Diamond Eyes, that was kind of cool, like the opening track. I just don't know if I'm into this kind of sound. I can't pinpoint what it is.
Yeah, man, it's cool.
I can hear it in my head, and that type of singing, it's just, I don't know what it is. It almost like I don't know if it reminds me of something, or it's something I used to hear a lot when I was younger. I guess some of the people around me would listen to music with that kind of singing in it, or, you know, like when you get like, I think it's the emo thing. It's the emo kind of singing. Like there's that particular voice.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
I just don't think that's ever sat with me properly. And so, yeah, like Diamond Eyes was cool. Again, what the thing is I actually realized was that a lot of the instrumentation and stuff I really liked. And actually, sometimes I would really like the instrumentation on a song. But then the singing at certain times would actually put me off. Not that, like, they're a bad singer. It's just the tone.
Not a problem, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the tone. I couldn't pinpoint what it was, because there's a difference between being like, oh, this guy can't sing for shit, like he's ruining the song. And then between being like, no, this guy can really sing. It's just, they're just hitting this register or this tone that I just don't get much out of. I mean, you have it for rappers as well. There's rappers with voices or inflections or like accents that I just can't really get behind. But I can't exactly pinpoint why though. Sometimes I really want to sit there and pinpoint why, but sometimes it's just unexplainable. Royal, I wrote, it's all right, but I'm not really feeling this one. I don't know. Yeah, just I can't really remember it. But it is what it is.
Just to sort of break in, like,
yeah, go ahead.
Like, I do like what you're like. I had a lot of what you're saying is kind of what hit me literally moments before we started.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember when I first started getting into him, I was like, I love the music. I don't know if I like Chino Marino's vocals.
Okay.
And I'm totally like I'm used to them now. Like I've been a fan for like
sure.
20 odd years. However, I do have other like criticisms of this album, which I think you and I are both going to agree on. And this is also taking into account like a lot of their other albums that they've done. They've released an album not too long ago called Ohms. There was Koi no Yokan. There was one other one as well. Right. That I can't even remember the name of it now. But
Sure.
That's taking into account that this album I think started this direction.
Right.
But anyway, sorry, I just wanted to break in there. I like,
No, it's cool, man.
Don't be like, if this isn't your shit, like I'm not sitting here just like cursing you, like going, for the listeners, I'm giving him double middle fingers and telling him to F off. But like, I think that it's, I don't know. I just think this album is worth discussing. So anyway.
No, I get that. It's kind of like, how I felt when I brought Drake and Travis to the table,
Weird. Yeah, exactly. Like, while it wasn't my bag, there was a hell of a lot of stuff to be sort of,
we got a lot out of those conversations. So
for real. Yeah.
Yeah. But, Command Control, again, didn't realize the song had changed. But this one had a very cool kind of drive to it. And I like the textures on the guitars. Like, the instrumentation kind of grabbed me. I'm probably not going to talk about any of the lyrics on this because I just didn't pick up much from it.
Okay. So, discussion point. So Chino Marino is one of those guys where it doesn't really matter what he says a lot of the time, because he's one of those sort of arty farty kind of, I like my lyrics to be ambiguous and stuff like that, right?
Oh, I see.
Case in point on, I think on Rocket Skates, I've got no idea 11 years down the line what that song is about. I think it's about a murder and he's running away, hence the Rocket Skates. I don't know. It's all metaphorical and it's all kind of I don't know if you picked up, like, especially on the first song, Diamond Eyes, there's like this really dreamlike sort of soundscape throughout, like littered throughout this whole album. I think a lot of the lyrics, when you delve into them a bit more, there's a couple that I might bring up, I might not, but there's a couple where I'm like, well, this is just explaining like a lucid dream, or this is talking about desires as opposed to actual literal things that have happened in your life.
That really makes a lot of sense, because that's what a lot of this sounds like.
Yeah,
sounds
and
like a big lucid dream.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, like his delivery and stuff, a lot of it can just pass into the background and just become part of the overall aesthetic. And I think that sort of marriage between vocals and guitars, I think especially for Deftones, like it really came together in this album, like that really cool synergy of one's vocals becoming part of the music as opposed to being apart from it and taking people on journeys. But
for sure 100%.
Yeah, man. The thing is, I'm also tainted by this album because I saw this live and I didn't hear the album before, so they played a lot of these songs live and I was like, my God. I forgot there was a whole new album that came out, and then the next day I bought it.
I see. This is the thing, actually. Some of these songs I actually did think, I wonder if I was watching this live when I was listening on my headphones. And I was like, I wonder if I was listening to this live, it would have a different feel and a different texture to it. And I'd probably be like, this sounds kind of cool. Especially like certain things, obviously, we talked about this before, when they perform live, they sound different. There's no, trying to get the mix right and you get live mixes and stuff, but obviously there's an engineer at like live shows and things like that, but you more raw kind of, you get the full drum sounds, you get the full guitars and the full kind of his voice.
You get the intent.
You get the intent, and if there's you don't get, not perfection, but what I mean is like studio perfection. Even if you do one take it in a studio, you can one take it again and kind of get the one take, if that makes sense. You can get the right one take. Yeah. Or you can, composite the vocal by cutting it up and saying, okay, this take is good, except for these 4 lines here. and you tell the engineer to cut it out. This is for people who don't know what vocal comping is. It's basically when you record a song and you take what you call it. You have your take, but there's a certain section you want to redo, and you just cut that section out, and then you just record into that, and you just kind of put it in, and that's obviously a composite of your vocal. It's not a continuous take. Whereas when you're live, you can't do the vocal comping, obviously, but also your one take is the take for the night, and you might even your vocal inflections will change and whatever else, but there's something about you doing it like that which makes it adds to the intensity and the kind of the vibe of it in the same it's less polished but in a good way, and
definitely.
I did think that quite a bit throughout this album about, I wonder what this would sound like if it was live, because I get that from this genre when I hear some of these kind of songs played live by live bands and everything like that. I'm always like, man, I wish it would sound like this in my headphones, or I wish it would I wish they'd do this version, or I wish I was into this kind of music. But sometimes I feel like maybe it's just, maybe I'm only into it when it's live. It could be it. Yeah, because I'm a bit spoiled by hip hop. I think I've said that before. Because the production on hip hop music is just so in your face, and so, especially now, so cutting edge, that it's kind of, and that's seeped into R&B and pop music. Like, that stuff is just crisp, but the bottom end is just so nice and full and rounded and everything. And sometimes when I listen to other genres, it sounds a bit weak in comparison. Or even if you go and listen to some older music, which hasn't, when they didn't have the loudness wars with mastering and mixing and things like that, they sound a bit flat. You have to really turn the volume up to get the same impact, the same punch as some more recent stuff, or just even hip hop back then, because that was based on that, because of the rawness of it. So yeah, sometimes I'm a bit spoiled by hip hop, especially when it comes to the low end, like the bass and the drums. Like I love good drums, and hip hop has always given me good low end, good drums, and whether it's boom bap drums or trap drums or whatever drums, right? It's when it's done well in hip hop, it just bangs so hard. So then when I hear again another genre of music, sometimes it's like I need it live to get that same feeling. Whereas when it's mixed, it's like it doesn't hit the same way. But moving on, the next song, You've Seen the Butcher. There's cool atmosphere in that. Again, it's just the emo vocals. Just couldn't get behind.
Yeah. I get that, to be fair.
I wanted to ask you actually, because it made me think about like just voices in general in music, and how I was saying earlier, sometimes you can be a bit put off by someone's vocal inflection or someone's accent or something, and you can't explain why.
Yeah.
There are some white rappers, happen to be white, I think, who have certain ways of kind of their vocal inflections, or just the way that they rap, the way that they say the words, that I just can't get behind for some reason. And I don't know if you've come across it. I don't know if it's maybe they're from a certain part of America, so that they, because there's a variety of vocal styles within America itself. It's kind of like listening to someone from Birmingham rap in this country compared to someone from
or
London
like Manchester.
Rap.
Yeah,
or Manchester.
You can definitely hear it.
Yeah,
definitely.
For me, I actually really like it. But in America, there's certain accents I just can't get behind. And I don't know if it's an accent, or I don't know if it's an inflection, or I don't know if it's just a way that they perform. So, Atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Slug from Atmosphere, the rapper, he's got this certain type of accent or certain type of way he delivers his vocals. But I really like him. I really like his music.
Right.
And I like the way he raps. But there are some people who sound very similar to him. I get turned off when I hear them rap like that. and I don't know what it is. It's very like it almost sounds like too prim and proper, like very, you know, when someone puts on the white American voice and they kind of go into that high pitched kind of
well,
you know,
hey there,
yeah,
everybody.
well, yeah, exactly that. Sometimes some of these rappers sound like that, but like a bit more, a bit less high pitched than that, but they have the same kind of pronunciation of their words. It's very, very how do you say it? Overpronounced or like well pronounced?
Maybe it's just the way they enunciate, because that's just one of the
enunciate. That's it. That's
just
the word.
Yeah, man. You got to when you're in the booth. Like I've seen it. You know, I've hung around with loads of musical people and stuff. You know, rappers, singers, whatever.
Yeah,
they always say that like the way that you enunciate every word, like it really matters. You know, and maybe it's just the way that, because you know how, I'm not saying that I would be a rapper, but I'm just saying if I was, I'd imagine my speaking voice and my rapping voice would be a bit more. There'd be difference, right? Like very much like you. While you sound like KD, the dude, when you rap, you're KD, the MC. You know, there's a clear distinction. You know, your posture's different. The way that you know,
it's true actually. Yeah, because you're in a completely different circumstance when you're doing that kind of thing compared to me sitting here.
Yeah, man,
talking to you really relaxed, right? But,
like it's yeah, I think it's just down to personal taste, bro. Like some people, you know, Atmosphere. Where are they from?
I think I think they're from like Middle America somewhere. Or
right.
What's it called? Midwest.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Well, I was going to say like Chino and the Deftones and that. They're from Sacramento, California.
Sacramento sounds like where Atmosphere would be from. I don't know why.
So there you go. Maybe it's that kind of, you know, West Coast kind of, you know, emo-y. Because one thing I will say about like Chino in particular is that like he does come across as like quite pretentious. In not so much as a person, but as a frontman of a band, and some of the lyrics and stuff. I'm like,
right.
You know, I'm actually here for the music, for example. Like I think that you know, I mean, yeah, his name, I can't remember his name. Steph. His name, they call him Steph. Right, hang on a minute. Let me what's his name? Deftones guitar. Yeah, man, and his tuning is terrible. Steph Carpenter, that's his name. Okay. Fantastic live like guitarist, didn't make a sound wrong, boy. Oh, he's unbelievable. But anyway, I think that a lot of the music, like I love a lot of what he does in this album, especially like he's very, very he lets the bass do a little bit more. There's a song coming up which I have got such distinct memories of seeing them live. Like the first time I'd ever heard this song was when they were playing it in front of me, and I'm telling you, it is. If you ever get the chance to go to a rock gig, I would recommend that you go and see the Deftones, because then you realize like just how hip hop influenced them drums are.
Right.
It's unreal. Honestly,
I was going to say something to that effect a bit later on, actually.
Cool
enough. Yeah.
But anyway,
interesting you brought that up.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of overlap. Like I'm a fan, but I am definitely aware of a lot of their sort of criticisms, because a lot of when I was getting into them, a lot of what you were saying is actually how I felt, because I was into hip hop first and foremost. Yeah. I always liked a little bit of rock. I can't remember what like rock band really. Well, I say it's Rage Against the Machine really, but there was the hip hop link there, so that made sense.
Right.
Then there was Linkin Park, and I was like, well, rapping and rock, like it's a beautiful sort of marriage, and then you sort of blossom from there. But yeah, dude, like as a newbie coming into this, like I'm actually glad that we're having this conversation though. So.
Yeah, man, it's cool, because I think we used to talk about this at work sometimes. We used to talk about other genres and things like that, but just obviously it never had the incentive to really sit down and actually check one of the albums or groups out that you would mention to me. Whereas this is like a good incentive to finally actually do that. Yeah. Like, would you have ever listened to Travis Scott had we not done this podcast?
Do you know, I don't think I mentioned it in the last show. Like, I think my brother James has played me loads of Travis Scott in his car, like whenever we've been going because he's got that voice where I'm like,
you probably
I
wouldn't
had no
realize it.
idea, because he's got loads of music, like loads of new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he's my younger brother. He's like 6 years younger, so he's obviously 6 years cooler, right? So like, yeah,
6
like,
years younger, so he's about my age.
yeah, man, he's just turned 31.
Oh, he's a bit older than me. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, but he's got his finger on the pulse when it comes to really good music.
Sure.
He's got very, very good sort of taste, and he loves like old school, like, you know, soul and, you know, funk and disco and stuff. And that's also what I love.
Yeah.
You'll be getting.
For sure.
We'll have to do like an Earth, Wind and Fire album soon, because
I fucking love to.
I love them so much. Them, the Isley Brothers.
Yeah.
And who was I listening to yesterday? Otis Redding.
Yeah.
Quite possibly one of the best vocalists like of all time, I think. I just want to give him a hug every time he sings. I'm like, you're so amazing. Anyway,
I'd love to jump into some of that stuff.
Yeah, man, we will definitely. Like, we're obviously both fans of it, so yeah, why the hell not?
That kind of genre is like, I'm a fan of it, but I can't say I'm deep into it, because it's less albums that I've listened to, more just songs every now and then.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, apart from a few growing up, but who's that other guy? Al Green. Like, I've heard a full album from him, which I really, really liked. I can't remember what it's called though.
Man.
Yeah.
Flipping love him.
But anyways, back to this.
Back to it. Yeah.
I think we're on Beauty School. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool intro and drums.
Really cool intro.
Yeah, which sounded familiar as soon as like they kind of came in. And I'm not sure why, but then maybe it could just be that it sounds similar to something else that I've heard before. But again, it's the vocals. I just couldn't gel with.
I'll give you that. So I remember seeing they played this live as well, and I was like, loved the intro.
Yeah,
Literally, what, the first 20 seconds, I was like, I'm in, and then
same.
I was like, nah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, now it's like,
because now it's kind of like because they were in their, I think, late 30s at this point, like mid to late 30s, and it's like, you guys have done this, like you did this
right.
like you did this like 15 years before, like you don't need to do this. You know.
I just it changed the whole vibe of the song
for no reason.
Yeah.
For no reason. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I wasn't getting jiggy with it. Prince,
no, definitely not.
I like the music on this one a lot. So especially the bass line.
Oh, mate, this is the song that I was talking about.
Okay, cool.
My God, like hearing it live, I was like, this is the moodiest. I could not believe how low that bass sounded. It's so moody. And then when the guitar's doing like the discordant kind of, he's playing like a lot of harmonics over the top of it. Yeah. Like, it's not just single harmonics. He's playing like 3 or 4 harmonics at the time. And it's just this shrill kind of sound. And then when he just plays like the low notes, it's just...
Discordant is the right word. I wrote off key, but I knew what I meant. It wasn't off key. It's discordant. Yeah, that's the much better word for that. Well, it just comes in every now and then, right?
Yeah. It's like a and you just hear like, what? It's like this screaming kind of. You're like, dude, hearing that live, it was like the clouds came rolling in, like little bits of lightning. That's what that guitar like just really sounded like. And then when the chorus kicks in, I was like, this whole song works. It's brilliant.
I really like that stripped down part, as in what we were just talking about. Like, like it comes in with the instruments and it's cool, but the stripped down part is the great part for me with this guitars coming in. And that'd be this is where the hip hop connection comes in, because I could imagine a really, really good MC over the top of that stripped down part.
Yeah.
With those weird guitars coming in and how kind of interesting that would sound. Just like, I actually replayed the song and tried to imagine it. And I was like, and I was thinking, if I heard like a really good MC rap over that stripped down part, I would play it. Like, I would be into it. That's all that changes amazing. For me. Yeah, so I definitely am into the music.
Mm-hmm.
It's then what the rest of the song is doing sometimes just doesn't gel, and that's what I realized. that song made it very clear to me that's what it was. If someone rapped over the top of it, and sometimes when I think about stuff like that, I always think, oh, come on, Katie, man, like you just want everyone to rap over everything.
I mean, not everyone can rap.
Yeah, like get some like soul and disco and just have someone rap over it, and then it'll be like, yeah, Katie will be into that. Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, come on. I'm like looking at myself in the mirror, like, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
you know. No, it's not 100% true, but yeah. What's the next song? But yeah. So that one, I really like that stripped down part and that.
Yeah, it's moody as fuck.
Yeah, it's moody,
I really like that one.
Yeah.
There was something. Hang on, like one of the. Here we go. Right, so one of the main themes throughout this album is like the color red, and like you obviously associate that with lifeblood, right?
Yeah.
But in Prince, I don't know if this album is like an ode to sacrificing people or something like that. Because listen, right? He says, "I relate to your kind, your design, your devotion to wave." What the hell does that mean? But then he says, "Get your brain on the prize and dive inside the mindset of a killer when your mind is out of phase. It's a game we like, we crave, yet nobody wins. Any way that you decide, you try, but you die. The mindset of a killer. When you gaze, you paint the room red with tears pouring from the stage." What does that mean?
You tell me, man.
You know what I mean? Like every time, like I listen to it, I'm like, it goes with the music. It's moody. It does. And then I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. You know, like, but this is the thing.
No, I feel you, man.
You know, it's for me, it was the music. But anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd just highlight that. Like, this is Chino Marino all over. It's all ambiguous. It's all fluid. It could mean nothing. It could mean everything. But you'd have to ask him. And then, like in interviews, he's just like, "Well, yeah, you know, it's for your interpretation or whatever." It's like, don't be a dick. You're putting stuff out there. Give me answers, okay? I need to know. You know what I mean?
Give me an answer.
You ask like Corey Taylor from Slipknot, like, "Oh yeah, so their lyrics are pretty straightforward, to be fair. But like, if there is any ambiguity, he's like, yeah, man, cool. He'll chop it up with people. Like, he's kind of accessible like that.
Sure.
But, and I'm sure like Zach De La Rocca would be the same.
Yeah.
Even though he's fallen off the planet. But yeah, with Chino, it's just kind of this, you know, oh man, I'm just so cool. Fuck off. Anyway.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
It's like that. You saw like I saw that thing on Twitter about Rage Against the Machine, how people were complaining about something, and it's like, wow, shock that Rage Against the Machine, who have been like super political their whole career, have given their opinion on something.
They have a song called "Wake Up." They have. I mean, anyway, I'm forgetting. Like,
Twitter is just full of cat, man. It's like they just
I can't believe it.
They just want to rewrite history over things, or it's like a bunch of young kids or something on there who actually have no idea, no context, no history, no nothing, and they'll just go on there and just state things like it's a fact.
I know.
Like,
just
people
listen.
go on there. Literally, people go on there and be like, "Oh, I used to like Eminem before he got political," and it's like, this guy's always been kind of political.
He has been a social commentary, ergo, like he's completed. Like he incorporates like all facets of culture and counter culture. Yeah, I'm in Hertfordshire, innit? You know, county Hertfordshire. Oh, the Shire, Mr. Frodo.
Fuck it out.
Sorry, dude. No, but I mean, yeah, people like, especially with like Rage Against the Machine. I mean, like Ron Seal does exactly what it says on the tin. Rage Against the Machine. Like, what do you think they're pissed off about?
I think you wrote that, right? What do you think?
No, it was Chris.
Oh,
I said shock horror. I think my tweet was shock horror, Rage Against the Machine getting involved in something political, and then Chris put like the clues in the name. You know,
literally the machine.
But exactly. One of my favorite lines from Rage Against the Machine is "Know your enemy."
Right.
What? The land of the free. Whoever told you that is your enemy. So simple, so succinct. It's one of the most political things I've ever heard. So I don't know how people can say that Rage Against, you know, your music was cool until you guys got all political. It's like you guys ain't been paying attention. I don't even know how you can listen to a song and not pick up on the intent. But anyway,
it's just something. Yeah, the cap on that app is something else.
In all fairness, bro, we're living in the upside down. Like I can't actually believe that, like some of the behavior and stuff that I've seen on Twitter, well, just on social media in general, it's just unbelievable. I don't know if you've seen this. There's this old, like, she's about 97 years old. I think she's a survivor from Auschwitz.
Right.
And basically, like, she basically answers, she's on TikTok and she answers everybody's questions, like, per day. Every day she'll put something up there, and there are genuinely nice people that are like, oh, can you tell us what it was about? Or, you know, what it's about? Can you tell us what it was
what
like?
It was like.
You know, can you share any stories? Blah, 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 blah. There have been genuine people. But then there are other dicks that are like, you know, like happy Hitler Day or happy, like, what are you doing with your life? Like that you've got to do that? Like if you need to do that, like if you need to abuse a 97-year-old woman, let alone a survivor of one of the most heinous things that's ever happened. Like if you feel the right to abuse her, I genuinely hope that natural selection deems you an excess to humanity and you get hit by lightning. People like that don't need to live. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I fall into that mentality sometimes because, like, I see, like, I saw a video of this girl who, like, rubbed some dirt on her face, and then there's a white girl. She rubbed some dirt on her face. You can kind of see where this is going, and then she started doing this, like, Indian dancing, like while they were playing this Indian song, but she was acting like an animal while she was doing it, and she was just making all these faces as if, like, oh, this is what they look like, and then
oh no.
There was another video of this guy who's wearing a turban who's waiting in line somewhere, and this white guy runs up next to him and then just starts doing this, like, Indian dancing and, like, right next to him, and the guy looks at him and it's kind of like, oh. He almost, the worst thing is the guy doesn't react. He looks as if he's been through that like a million times before.
He's not surprised.
Yeah, he's
that's
just like, oh,
very sad.
It's like, oh, there's pigeons out here and there's one right next to me, you know. They're always out here. So annoying. They just always fly past you. It's like that, but for these fucking guys who just keep doing stuff like this. And yeah, sometimes I'll think about what it's like to be those people, not the victim, but the perpetrator. And I almost feel sorry for them. Like, bruv, I'm so glad. It almost makes me glad that I'm in the, how do I say it? I'm in the less privileged position because I can then, I don't know, learn to empathize across the board. Do you know what I mean? Just imagine being in that kind of mentality where you've never had to worry about that sort of shit, and you just think that you can get away with doing anything you wanted at the expense of others. And what does that feel like? I almost feel bad for you. It sounds so good on paper, right? But I kind of feel sorry for you.
The thing is, and I've kind of sort of hardened on my stance as I've gotten older. But if somebody is, I used to be really sort of altruistic and kind of generous with my time. Like if racist stuff has happened to me, and I've handled, in some occasions I've handled it in the perceived correct way.
Yeah.
And in other times I've reacted with blind fury, and I used to feel bad about it. Especially the times that I reacted with blind fury. I've actually come round to the idea that if anyone's racist to me or anybody around me, it's fighting talk. Like I've now sort of like drawn the line.
It's
like
on site.
It's not actually my place to educate anybody else anymore. Like, and I do know that this is very sort of Old Testament, eye for an eye and stuff like that. The problem is, you know, an action will have a strong adverse reaction to that, right? So if somebody's sort of racist to me or whatever, and like luckily nobody has been in some, but any money I go out later and somebody's like drives past and calls me a monkey or something, like, but like I find that, you know, my role in society isn't, I'm not going to take that. So that is fighting talk. Like, please be aware that, you know, some people are sick and tired of having such a, like, imagine being like actually being judged by the color of your skin. Like, what the like, bro, like, if we were living in that kind of society, well, you and I wouldn't be doing this podcast.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Anyway.
We probably wouldn't have even had the opportunity to meet. Like,
think about that. Yeah.
I think about that often. Like, when you really deep it, that someone gets judged for the color of their skin. It's actually kind of crazy how much worth we've put on that, and unless like, and then it then dives into, it spirals off into like our cultures and stuff being bad or whatever, based on that initial kind of judgment. And I always find it kind of weird because actually, the more I've grown up and the more I've realized and the more I've learned, like, not in a rude way, but people like me and you more closely resemble like probably the original human beings on the planet, you know? So like, it's kind of crazy how the tables kind of flipped like that. You know, we have depictions of a white long-haired Jesus when he probably didn't look like that at all, you know?
All right. So I think this is where I've come when it comes to like religion and stuff. Like, definitely when Karl Marx said that religion is the opium of the masses, it was definitely a control mechanism. However, I think that if we're smart enough and enlightened enough now to sort of realize that where they were living in those times, chances are Jesus wasn't a white guy with blue eyes and brown hair and a lovely beard. It's probably a scraggly looking dude, you know, but I think that basically people need to realize the difference between faith and organized religion, and like the faith you get from, you know, like listening to the message, the word or whatever, and actually trying to be a better human being. That's basically like where we are as a society, because we do know that, you know, the Vatican, the home of Catholicism, you know, where the Romans basically, you know, ruled the world, you know, even that's privy to a lot of corruption and horrible practices that have gone on. And unfortunately, like, we've, you know, as people, we're not led by institutions anymore. We've actually got to lead ourselves, like within ourselves. And that's the thing. Like, I really hope that, because to me, like, it looks like society, especially when you're on like Twitter and like Insta and stuff, which is why I stay off it mostly, but you can really see like a lot of hatred and a lot of lost people and that. And you sort of get this feeling that like, oh, everyone must be like this. But I think to cheer ourselves up, like, maybe it's just the minority of idiots that have the loudest voices that the rest pay attention to and latch onto. And unfortunately,
happens, you know.
But for example, extreme example is the treatment of Muslims and terrorism, for example. A small, tiny, you know, Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world and has been for a number of years. And I think it's because, like, you know, one of the amazing things about it is like the sort of family kind of connection that people feel, even if you're from different cultures, whatever. But it's like, you know, a few people who have decided, you know, to take the teachings and, you know, which take those teachings and allow themselves to go and, you know, kill people as well as themselves, you know, all of a sudden, like, the whole religion is like up in flames. It's like, hang on a minute, like, a few hundred years ago, do you remember maybe about 900 years ago, there's this thing called the Crusades? Like, Christians weren't too good either. So, you know what I mean? You know, and it's not all Christians. It was just some.
100%.
And so that's where we are. But anyway, like, setting the world right, eh?
Yeah, well, I'd like to think so. But
anyway, right. Anyways, where do we get to, bro?
We are at Rocket Skates.
Oh, banger. Anyway, go on. Yeah, it's fucking
when
awesome.
I got to that song and I just wrote nah.
Fucking pussy-o. No, I'm kidding.
I actually took a break after this song because I thought, no, I've had enough, and I went back to my original playlist. And it's just strange, right? Is that I was listening to just my playlist while I was cooking, and then
Is that your playlist of Justin Bieber, NSYNC, and Lady Gaga? Yeah, sounds about right.
And Michael Bublé.
Oh my God.
Robin Thicke.
What happened to that guy? He's disappeared.
I don't know. It wasn't
Anyway,
after that Blurred Lines thing.
How long ago was that? Like, that feels like it was like 2 years ago to me.
Yeah, but it actually was, I think that was like 2014.
Oh my God.
That was ages ago. I feel like.
Oh my God. Fair enough.
I'm not sure. Because I think Pharrell had the song Happy, which was big in 2014. And then it was like, so he was like on top. And then, I mean, he's still at the top still, but there was a point that he worked on that song with Robin Thicke and it's about this and yada, yada, yada. And it was like, I remember it being around that same time. I might be completely wrong on that. But yeah, so it wasn't a couple years. I know.
Recorded in 2012, released in 2013, bro.
2013.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, for some reason I thought I was at uni when it came out. But okay, so that's even further back than I remember.
Wow.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But yeah, anyway, so my Justin Bieber cooking playlist was on and it was banging. And but yeah, no. So I was just listening to my usual shit, right? That I listen to. And it was great. Some Stevie Wonder came up in that, which was good. Haven't listened to him for like a couple weeks. Yeah, so it was a good mix of hip hop, soul, R&B, that kind of shit, mainly hip hop. And then I was like, okay, I need to properly listen to this album. And so I added it to the queue so that once the album finishes, it would just go back to the playlist again. And got to Rocket Skates, and I was like, right, nah, that's it. And I just skipped through until it got back to my playlist. And I was like, I'll come back to it later. I need a break for now.
And then
as soon as it got back, no, I did. I came back to it. But as soon as it got back to my playlist, it legit had this. I didn't even realize. I suddenly felt this like wave rush through me, like I could relax, and I felt like I was back home with my people. Like that's the equivalent of what it felt like. It felt like I was home with my family and I can relax and I'm comfortable here again. That's what it felt like when I went back to the music I was listening to. This was so kind of that song. I don't know why. I think when it got to that song, I was just like, I don't know if I can take much more of this. But you know how I said at the top of this that kind of the second half or the bottom, the tail end kind of had some more interesting parts for me. When it could be that I came back to it fresh, and maybe that's why. And I was listening at night as well, which kind of adds. I listened to this part at night as well, which kind of adds to your thing about it feeling like very dreamlike and like lucid dreamlike, because it seemed to soundtrack the night quite nicely. Sex Tape was a nice change of pace. That was cool for the vibe.
Absolutely amazing. So, and again, live, I couldn't believe my ears.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Risk, the guitar sounded really good. The instrumental sounds really good. And the vibe was really good on that.
The vocals again, though, on this listen, I was like, I like when he sings in the, oh my goodness, in the verses. I don't mind that because it's kind of like he's commentating and it's the drums and the guitar are like driving. But it's just when it gets to the chorus, I love the instrumental because it's got that weird kind of wavy tone that comes through it.
Yeah, that's it. Wavy.
But it's like his voice like gets lost in all of that, and it's kind of not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I know what you mean. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that we've you know, I'm whenever I say things like this, I always feel like, oh man, is my ear just really off about it? But then when you come back, you always say, yeah, it probably is. But when you come back and you're like, actually, no, I felt the same way. I'm like, okay, cool. It's not just me.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, like I think it would have been fighting talk to have this conversation. Like you and I would have ended up in a scrap maybe 10 years ago because I was pro this album. Well, not really. Like maybe we'll have a verbal, I'll be like, you idiot. But but like no,
Yeah.
upon like listening to it and stuff, like I totally see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Personally, like my favorite sort of aspect of Chino Marino is the screams. Some of them are
Oh,
just
okay.
because I've seen him live, and like throughout, all the albums and stuff, he's got so many different types of screams and stuff that you're like, wow, okay. And that's the
Right.
thing that I think he's exceptional at. Like, I think he's an exceptional screamer. But like, okay,
Singer.
singer, like okay, like he's not
Mm,
the best.
sure.
He's just got enough quirk. And the thing is, when you see him on stage, he just oozes cool. Like he's just
Okay.
cool.
I haven't seen a picture of him. When I researched, I just saw the whole band, but I didn't like
He's
pick out
the
who was who.
short, spiky hair and probably with the goatee.
Okay, that sounds like the kind of person that was singing
Yeah,
across
yeah.
this whole thing.
Look, again, Ronsil, bro. Like it does exactly what it says on the tin. Like you look at Chino and you're like, all right, okay,
That's such an early 2000s kind of look, in it? Like
mate.
spiky hair, goatee.
Yeah,
Man, I'm so glad that went out of style. Well, it has, right?
bro. What is style? I mean,
No, true.
what is style these days? Because like, if you know what it is, great. Like, please forward that information on to me. My wife is forever telling me, she's like, you're in your mid-30s and you look like you've just come out of like the Matrix. Like you look like you're on the ship. And I'm
Wow.
looking at this jumper and I'm like, oh my god, like give me that white milky gruel that everyone eats. But
Nah, I used to get that quite a few years ago as well from my partner, but I think it's just a case by case thing. Like,
I think you're all right. Like when you used to rock up to work.
Yeah, that was okay. At that point, I'd kind of got into my stride a little bit, but even then, when I think back to that, I think. But I just used to wear a lot of all black. That was just my easiest go-to. There was no one I was trying to impress there. Like I was just there to be there and leave. So I was like, okay, I'm going all black or white. That's it.
Definitely.
White t-shirt, black t-shirt.
Speaking in hushed tones, because Lord forbid. Anyway, no, we shouldn't go back there. Should go back there, bro. Like that's it.
Yeah, not even mentally, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole screaming thing.
Yeah, man.
It's still something I'm neither here nor there with. It's weird for me because I'm not used to it. Although, actually, no. Even when I hear some rappers do it, because some rappers, especially new ones, some of them they've grown up. Like some rappers from maybe a few years ago would have grown up on 90s hip hop and on some lyrical rappers or whatever, and then they embody that into their music, or they grow up in soul and all that kind of stuff. So they incorporate that. Some of these new kids have grown up having access to everything.
Exactly.
So they've grown up with such a wide variety, and they wear this shit on their sleeves, which is really cool because it adds to more innovation and diversity. So you'll get someone like Lil Uzi Vert who have some songs where he's got some more rock inflection in his vocals. That's what my mates told me. I wouldn't have known that. I would have just heard the song and thought, wow, that's really cool, the way he's singing that or the way he's rapping that. And then my mate will tell me, oh, those are rock vocals, but he's rapping it or he's doing it over a trap beat. And I'm like, oh, no wonder it sounds so fresh. But so there are some new rappers who do that weird screaming shit where it almost sounds like it's breaking the speaker. And I'm thinking sometimes sometimes I don't necessarily get into it even when they do it. So I don't know if the whole screaming vocals thing is something that just isn't necessarily for me.
You've got to hear it in context. Like just talking about it is one thing. Like when you hear the right song, whether it be a rock song or a hip hop song or whatever, and you hear it and it works for you, that's when it works, bro. Like it's not anything you can talk about. Like, this is the thing, like with this podcast, it's really difficult, right? So, when people listen to us talk about something, they'll be like, they might be thinking, well, you've missed, X, Y, and Z about it. This is so obvious. This is, it's one of those things that fortunately and unfortunately, we're just two guys with differing opinions, or similar opinions, whatever, on a subject. But the beauty of music is that so many other people have access to it, and there are 8 billion different ways to interpret the same thing. That's the beauty, isn't it? And I think that's when we're talking about like screaming and stuff, it's all subjective. Like you'll find a song, you must like Linkin Park. if you like any of Chester's vocals, then
Yeah,
chances are you like a bit of screaming. So, and it
sure.
works with them. So,
Right, sure. Yeah, no, I get that completely. I'm trying to think. There's like there's a UK guy called Scarlord, and he does a lot of crazy screaming shit.
Marvel inspired, is he?
Oh, I have no idea. He's one of those guys who's like his name instead of an A has an X, so it's SCXRLXRD. I think it looks sick. I'm not gonna lie. Before you say with your old man shit, I think it looks sick.
To be honest, with Love the Genius, it works because she's awesome.
Fair
That
enough.
kind of
Okay,
stuff. I like it. It's just becoming a trope, though. That's
it
the
is.
thing.
Yeah,
Like
kind of like the little thing.
with the little thing with the letter V,
Oh yeah,
with there's a band called Churches, and instead of a U, it's a V. Like, you know
yeah.
what I mean? It's like,
It's
anyway,
kind of cool aesthetically though.
it is cool, but you know what I mean? Like, everyone's
But
falling
after a
into the
while,
same
yeah, no, I
sort
get
of.
you. After a while, you see it and you're just like, oh, okay, again.
You've been unique, just like that other band, and just like that other band before them. Like, you know what I mean?
it's,
But
it's like when people put all caps on their track titles. It's like, yeah, that was cool the first time, but now every time it's like, oh, okay.
well,
Or
it's like the old Logan thing from the film Logan, where it's just like, "Don't shout at me!" Like, I don't want to be shouted at.
right.
Like, why is your album all in capitals? Like, just have some decorum and tell me what the songs are. Don't
You know
shout at
what?
me.
For Damn from Kendrick, it made sense to me because they were like one-worded song names.
Yeah,
So that
and you
kind
could
of
rearrange them, couldn't you?
yeah, something yeah. So it seems kind of fitting for that, but like I don't understand why J. Cole did that fucking weird spacing shit on
Oh,
his
with the
new
full
one.
stops.
Oh yeah, I just if anything, it made me like I would just look at it and just see this big fucking mess of a track list and just
Yeah.
think, I don't even know what song that is. I don't. If someone's saying, "Oh, I can't wait for the song," I can't wait to hear "Applying Pressure," or I can't wait to hear this song with Lil Baby, like "Pride Is the Devil" or whatever it is. I'm like, what? I didn't even see those names. I just saw a mess of fucking letters. You know, I what's there was no reason for that. Like, literally, I
Random.
don't.
I think, bro, he's just like, you fuckers have been waiting so long for a new project. I'll just dish up any old weird stuff for you, like with regards to the layout of
Track list, yeah.
the track list. But to
I
be
don't like
honest,
it, Cole. I don't like it.
I've listened to that album again. Like, I listened to it first, like on the day it came out, and I was like, I'm really excited. Then I listened to it, I think a couple of days after that, and I was like, I don't know if this is the one.
Really,
Yeah.
it's great for me. Like I felt that way the first time when I first listened to it. I was like, oh, okay, it's not exactly what I was
Yeah.
hyping up for. And now it's like, bruv, that first song, 95 South, just some of the shit he says, you know, Krispy Kreme dreams. Sometimes my dogs want to kill 12. I was like, that's hilarious, but kind of sad at the same time. But then, and his flow in the second verse. Oh, I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean. Like, I can see it not necessarily being something that like hits every time. But for me, I don't know. For me, it really grew as a project. I love the way he raps now. I think he's such a better rapper now than he was before. Like somehow he just keeps getting better. Like, bitch, my pen of the paper's lethal. I'm sending you straight to meet the one of them made the peep the reaper creeping on you. And then what's the thing says? Genitalia, pussy yo's keep bleeding on you. Self. All of my team is eating off their wealth. Like, it's just fucking sick, man. But J. Cole is one of those guys who don't know if it's a good or bad thing. He keeps getting better. But then unfortunately for me, it makes I think I might have said this to you before.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah, it makes his older material lesser in my memory because his new sometimes like just I'll listen to his new stuff and think, oh, this is so good. You've improved again. You've got so much better. I wish you were kind of like this on the other album. I don't want to kind of listen to the other album anymore. I just want to listen to this. And then I don't know. It's weird. I kind of feel that with new Eminem as well. Like every time, like if he improves on the last one, it kind of makes the last one feel like really not as good. But anyways, I don't know why we tangented off into that.
Well, before I was so rudely interrupted, what I was going to say is I then listened to it a couple of days ago, and it's a grower. It is definitely a grower.
I thought you were saying that you came back to it and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, man. If you let me finish my thought,
bro.
And he just, this is KD, man. He basically, as soon as he's like a dog with like his favorite like chew toy. Like as soon as he sees it, he's just like, right, I gotta go. And like I know J. Cole's your guy and stuff. But yeah, no, I'd purposely layered it.
Man.
Like a little bit of a shit sandwich, bro.
David, David, you do this sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, just in regular conversation. This is something I've noticed, which is so interesting. But it's like sometimes I literally cannot gauge what direction you're going to go in based on how, like, even like I know you said you planned that one, like, the way you structure that. But sometimes I'll look at your facial expression and the way you're about to start your sentence, and I'll think, wait, is he about to disagree with me? And then you'll say, yeah, I completely agree with you 100%. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? I did, like, the way you started, your tone, the way you looked in your face indicated to me you're going to go in a completely different direction. I've noticed that about you. I don't know if you do it on purpose or not.
So I'm working on my poker face.
Okay.
No, but I think it kind of keeps like the aesthetic and the dynamic, you know,
keeps me on edge.
Flowing, yeah. Okay, sorry. I will stop.
No. Continue as normal.
But, mate, that is funny.
So that's why when you said that, I thought, okay, I actually thought you were going to go in and say, oh, I listened to it again. Actually, no, this time I could tell because it was a bit more drawn out that you were going to say, I listened to it again. Didn't feel the hype. I didn't know it was going to continue on.
Long game, boy. Long game. Yeah, no, it's
I apologize.
No, bro, it's fine. I baited you. It's yeah, like I think with like there's never been any doubt in my mind with J. Cole. I saw him live back in 2013, I think.
So did I. Where did you see him?
I saw him at the O2 Indigo.
So did I.
Oh shit, you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was it was brilliant.
So good.
Yeah, it was brilliant. He didn't do Simba, but I could forgive him that because that was my window into J. Cole. I was like, well, Simba, this is amazing. I love the video.
The mixtapes, right?
Yeah.
Loved
the video of that, and I was just like, right, okay, cool. I'm in. I'm a fan.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, I came away, and then now I'm sort of like going back to him. But anyway, let's wrap up this album, bro.
Oh yeah, I think we've got 2 more songs. So 976 Evil, cool vibes again. These kind of more mellow type songs, they seem to hit because of the atmosphere for me. And actually, even on that song, I quite like the singing on it. I didn't mind it too much. And then the final song, This Place Is Death.
Well,
for me, I was like, okay, that was nice while it lasted, and then that comes in, and I'm just like, okay, all right.
Oh, dude, I will admit to you, like for me, the main strength is probably up until Sex Tape. So what's that, track 9 or 10? Yeah. I'm with the album pretty much all the way apart from track 2, which is, what is it, Royal, I think.
Yeah, Royal.
Yeah. That can go, but otherwise I'm very, very happy with it. I don't think I've listened to This Place Is Death in its entirety because I just don't. Yeah, no, never. Even today, I was like, no.
Oh, so okay, so you feel the same way?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's great personally. I think it's a bit too sort of drawn out. But yeah, anyway, that's me.
I keep getting parallels with this album and the Travis Scott one that we did. Not in terms of its sound and stuff, but in terms of what we've been saying about it. So things like, oh, you don't really go to them to hear their lyrics or whatever, but the instrumentation is really good. The atmosphere is there. The vibe is there. Whatever, for certain songs, if you're into that kind of music. And then it's like, even down to the last song being too drawn out and a bit kind of too much and not needed. Like, okay, that's interesting.
It's weird how that sort of panned out. So there's one criticism of this album and pretty much every album since then when it comes to the Deftones for me. And it's the I think that this album is really expansive and it sounds awesome. It could have been released last year, last month. Like it to
Okay.
me, I think the production is mwah, it is
Yeah.
among some of the best that I've ever heard.
Sure.
However, that my problem, like I like variation in pace.
Yeah.
There's
For
no
sure.
variation in pace whatsoever.
No.
It's all just, most of it is like 4/4 beat, just, just let's just sort of like plod along. And like a lot of the
Yeah.
guitar work, a lot of it is really good in isolation. But after a while, like definitely I can see why this would pan into the background. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
dreamy kind of aesthetics in the back. Then you've got your heavy guitar, and then you've got your sort of, plod along drums and that. Even though Abe Cunningham is a hell of a drummer, you get
Yeah.
that sense live. Like on the album, it kind of it's just
It's too
almost
even keel, right?
throwaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, like when they do live shows, they've got other songs from other albums that they can pull into
Sure.
that
Yeah.
live show, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
you know.
Sure. No, I get you.
But yeah, bro, like that's one of the main problems that I have with like this album, especially on this listen. I'm like, where's the variation in pace?
For sure. I feel that.
You know?
100% feel that. Yeah. It's like so I can't get into some of the trap albums that come out in hip hop because they just sound like you don't even realize the song's changed because the beats are just so similar to each other. There's just a different lead or slightly different drum pattern, but and there'll be like only one or two standout songs because of the difference in the musicality. And it's like, oh man, what the rest of this shit is just it's almost like one big song just with a few slight changes. It's kind of how you just described this one, like especially those first few songs. It's just really I couldn't believe I'd got 6 songs into it.
That's pretty.
And I just did not realize that it had changed. It was just in the background. I didn't realize I'd tuned out for that long.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh shit, okay. This must be song 2 by now, surely. Or song 3 at least. It was song 6. Like that was on my background listen though. But yeah, even on my sit down listen, because of the transitions of the songs, there's not many gaps. It just kind of goes into the next one.
It's
for a lot of them. I think even then it was still kind of hard to tell. There would be like a subtle change.
Definitely.
So it's so what you were talking about, the 4/4 kind of beat and drums and everything like that. It's just so similar. There might be small changes that you have to really be listening to notice, like, oh, okay, this one's a bit slower now, or okay, this one's a bit more along this kind of, they've switched up slightly.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think that's why in the bottom half or the tail end of it mainly, because it's only like those kind of 3 songs, Sex Tape Risk, 976, Evil, where it really, the pace changed. But you're right, because there's not much variation in pacing in this. It's like all the same at the front end, and then goes into these 3 different songs, and then it comes back, and it's like, I don't know, this could have been spaced out a bit more.
Yeah, I always wonder about like I think that as a body of work, I think that it's a really solid album. Like
I knew you were going to say that.
I think solid. It flows really, really well. I think that it definitely pulls its punches on maybe a couple of tracks that aren't needed. I definitely think the last tune and Royal, they can go.
But for sure.
The rest of them, like there's this something else as well that I sort of picked up on this album as well that we haven't mentioned is like, I think this is where rock becomes a bit like sexy. There's this latent undertone of sexual tension in there. Like it's, for me, I think it's really kind of, there's something about it where I'm like, there's something. Sure. I can't really put it into words more than that. But I sort of had this vindicated. I was talking to my brother-in-law about this album. And he said it, he basically gave me the phrase like, oh, it's when sexy meets rock, basically. And so I'm glad that I'm not the only one that's kind of picked up on it. And especially when you see it live, like you're just like, there's something other about it. But I mean, for its for its failings, I think, there is a technical mastery here when it comes to the mixing of the instruments. The fact that some of the music and the instrumentals sounds exactly the same, like on record as it does live, especially with Prince. Like, I can still hear it, like when I saw him live, and it's just like, it just sounds amazing, and like the levels are absolutely correct. However, the vocals do, especially on this listen, I don't love it as much as I don't love the vocals as much as I did.
Oh, that's interesting.
Although on Rocket Skates, the Michael Jackson, woo, give me that all day. Love that. Love that. But like when he's talking, what is he talking about? You're red soaking wet. I'm right next to you. Well, did you just murder somebody?
Yeah, like.
And then in the chorus, he's screaming, "Guns, razors, knives. Fuck with me. Guns, razors, knives." Whoa. What does that mean? Anyway, sorry.
This is one of those things, man. It's like, it's just a feeling, man. It's just a feeling. It's like, okay, fair enough.
That's it. Yeah. Oh man, like even my brother, who's massive hip hop head, so he's got such a really, like, you and him, my brother Alex, you and him really have like you appreciate like similar artists and stuff, like ones that I've always ignored, but ones that like you guys rep. So Lloyd Banks, for example, my brother
Lloyd
Alex
Banks
has been talking to me about, he's been sending me stuff to, listen to this song, listen to this song, listen to this song. Can you tell me what your favorite Lloyd Banks lyric is here? And I'm like, Alex, this is like Fort Knox. It's full of gold bars, bro. Like,
I can't pick a favorite.
What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, I told you, like, the guy's sick. But Alex really likes this album. Like, he absolutely, like, he really, really likes it. And so, which is why I was thinking, like, maybe KD will hopefully get into it like I, but it's fine. It's fair enough.
It could be a grower. You never know. I mean, some of it's kind of in my head, and again, the production has stuck in my head. It's almost like I looked at the cover and I listened to it and I was like, I kind of want to like this. Something is just not clicking just yet, or maybe never. You never know.
Exactly. I mean, on this, I would say, oh man, maybe you should go and check out some of their earlier stuff. They've got really awesome songs. Like, I think this is album number 5 out of theirs.
Something like that. Yeah.
So wait a minute. They've got Adrenaline, Around the Fur, White Pony, Deftones. What's the one with Rats? No, this might be number 6.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure I've even missed one out. But anyway, yeah.
Isn't it weird when they do self-titled albums?
Yeah, that was their third album
into their discography. Usually, you see it with like their first albums.
That's it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I might send you random tracks of theirs just to see if you get on with them. But
do that actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't be able to tell you which album. Maybe Around the Fur, but yeah. Anyway, we'll see. So coming in, bro. You don't have to do top 5, but you can if you want. And what's the score?
I did pick out a top 5.
But boom.
Based on the moment. So my rating, I think I gave it a 5.
Straight down the middle.
Yeah,
I was call you Keir Starmer, bro. But go on.
I was going to give it a 4. I just felt a bit too harsh.
No, bro, be harsh. Like we can do a consolidation in the future. Like, how does this album, like, do you still stick with it? No, be harsh. If it's a 4, it's a 4, bro.
I meant harsh even by my kind of standard of it, like what I was feeling, because when I try and do the rating, I don't do like a mathematical equation based on the ratings of all the songs or anything like that. It's like just what's the feel? What's the number that comes to mind? What's my intuition saying?
Yeah, bro.
And I think it started at 4.5, and then sometimes after that, it when the initial number comes, it's like I think through it a little bit, and then it kind of slides on that scale. It rarely ever goes up by a whole number or anything like that. So it was at 4.5. So it could either land at 4, 4.5, or 5. And I think I went for 5 just because there's something in there.
Mm-hmm.
There is something in there, and the fact that I'm saying to you, give me maybe songs of theirs to listen to in isolation shows that it's not like Payable on Death, for example, where I was like, I've just forgotten about them completely.
Sure.
It's just they're out of my head now. Whereas Rage Against the Machine, their album is saved in my library. So, you know, I scroll past it every now and then and, oh shit, yeah, I need to go back and listen to that at some point. This one's not been saved to the library, but it's not been ejected from my memory. It occupies this kind of middle space. So I think I'll stick with 5. I'll stick with 5 for now. Top 5, I put Command Control, Prince, Sex Tape, Risk, 976, Evil. Bang, bang.
Risk is fantastic. Like, genuinely, one of the best things you can do. Like, and I know you're not like a football enthusiast or whatever. Like, go to a match and go and see a good band, like rock concert. Genuinely, you will probably walk out a fan.
Okay,
that's the power of music. Unless they have to be obviously like really good, because obviously if they're swag, then you're not going to like them. But genuinely, like you'd have to come and see. I don't know. Yeah, man. If they do like touring or something like that, we'll check out a good band. Skin Dread, I think you'd like.
Okay,
because they're insane.
Maybe that's what it is. Sometimes you can't always get the full. That's the thing, especially with music. You can't always just get the full thing from just going on Spotify and listening.
Agreed.
And sometimes you have to watch their music videos. Sometimes you like watch their interviews, or you kind of do more around the music. You watch their live. You see them live, for example. Otherwise, it can just go into the sea of just music that you listen to, and you just don't. It's just it's just a soundtrack. It's not something that really hits you. But yeah, I think when things start to open up and everything again, which they're slowly starting to, yeah, man, you pick out one and we'll head down there, go to it.
Yeah, man, and, it'll be good.
See what happens. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, for real. All right, cool. Well, I'm actually really glad that we've covered this album. This has been a beloved album for me for so long, and then to just sort of like go back and be like, oh, now I've got to criticize it. Like, but do you know what I mean? And it's like I've had these criticisms all along. Like I've always known it. I just ignored them. But it's nice to.
This is kind of brought it out now.
It's nice to talk about it, really, because I think who was I listening to? Like this is years ago. I listened to a review of it. And people, and this is after I, obviously listened to the album, and they were so high on it, and I was like, right, I have witnessed maybe a sort of new genesis of this band, and then like in time, looking back over like the last few albums that they've released, I'm like, maybe it's not as good as I thought, and it's just like, great. Is that what getting older is? You see everything you love die.
Sometimes I wonder about that. I don't know why, but I always think about Get Rich or Die Trying, the 50 Cent album, and think, will I still love that album when I'm 40 or 50 years old?
The answer is yes, because it is a solid album.
I still love it. I love that shit when I was like 12, 13.
Get in my car. What a tune.
That was on the Massacre, but yeah.
Was that on the Massacre?
Yeah.
Man, I could have. Anyway, yeah.
Going back and listening to the Massacre, yes, it could have been shortened, but but that was from the era of like long albums.
Definitely.
But you would buy the album, so you get your money's worth. But
16 quid for an album, or 15 quid on new release in HMV.
Yeah, and you got 22 tracks. You were like, yes, I wanted all of that.
Absolutely. My brother Alex was huge into 50.
Same. Wow, he sounds really similar to me.
Genuinely
heavy into G Unit, and I had the G Unit albums, the Lloyd Banks albums. That I even had the Tony Yayo album as well. Like, no disrespect to him, but I he wasn't necessarily like the best member of the group.
I did like his name though. I really like that name.
Cool, yeah, it's a shame that he never dropped another album. But yeah, 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying, obviously is like a classic album. The Massacre, 100%. The Massacre has a great album in there. It's just there's a bit of like, it needs some fat trim in. Yeah, but the production across that thing, he had such a good ear for beats and production and writing catchy hooks, and just, yes, he wasn't the best lyricist there ever was, but he had such a good voice for it. which is even more crazy considering he never intended to be a rapper in the first place. He's like West Side Gun.
Goodness sake, that's disgusting.
He just wanted to get out of the drug game because he had a son, and he was like, okay, I need to do something better. And then he ended up he actually was one of those guys who saw that people were getting money off of hip hop, and he decided to try it. He didn't even know how to write songs. He didn't know how to structure like bars and things. And then Jam Master Jay gave him a shot, and R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Like he's become what he's become, and it's strange. He's crazy. It's not like Eminem. Eminem like wanted to be like a rapper since age 14. 50 Cent became a rapper because he just wanted to get out of the game.
And he had a great like aesthetic at that point. He was just fire. You couldn't escape him.
Yeah.
Like
people even genuinely scared of him as well.
Well, I was going to say, even people that didn't like hip hop. There's one of I remember at uni, this guy, what's his name? Alex McCausland, legend of a man. He was always he liked Radiohead and rock and stuff like that. He liked, that kind of music. 50 be fucked with 50 Cent. He was just like, this guy's the guy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I never thought 50 Cent would be that crossover guy like that.
It's unbelievable. Like, I saw everybody, but he was part of the zeitgeist at the time, right? You couldn't escape him. It's kind of like when, like a few years prior, with like DMX and stuff, I didn't know anybody that knew hip hop that didn't know DMX. Like, he was entrenched in the culture. Like, he was everywhere, every magazine, everything you saw on TV, every awards show, he's winning stuff.
It's kind of like Jay-Z and them, isn't it? That these names like transcend hip hop. Kanye Jay-Z as well. Yeah. Oh man, when Kanye, oh my goodness, the amount of love I had for his ability to make music, and like even his rapping, his off-key sort of like lyricism, his great delivery. I was like, this guy's like Through the Wire remains one of my all-time favorite like hip hop songs. I think that's a classic. Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
such a unique song as well.
Oh, it's so good, and it just demonstrates that even through the pain, like we were talking about it on our Griselda episode, like even through the pain, West Side Gun, shot in the face, like shot in the neck. Pardon me, not West Side Gun. Yeah, Conway, the machine was shot in the neck or back of the head.
Yeah, and that's why his mouth is like
exactly
to the side. Yeah, like that video you sent me, because I'd seen that as well, and I almost had to be like, wait, which one's Conway? That one's Conway. Yeah, because that was 2012. Yeah, before he was shot. It's crazy, man. He looks so different, but he raps different as well. He's like 50 Cent. Like, he got shot in the mouth too when he got shot, like allegedly 9 times, however many times it was. But like, it changed the way he raps as well. And it's like, that Through the Wire is another example of that. He literally had his jaw shut,
wired shut. Yeah, and that's the thing. These guys are making it despite any limitations, despite any obstacle that's in their way. I think it's 100%. Like, for me, Kanye West was truly, truly inspiring. Like, when I was younger, it hit me at an age. When did Through the Wire come out? 2004,
something like that. Yeah, because I think that's when College Dropout came out.
Yeah. So yeah, I was before the 2003.
Oh, okay.
I seem to remember being in halls at that point, but yeah. Okay.
It's so weird that you were in halls in 2003.
Oh, bro.
I was in halls 10 years later.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? Like, genuinely. When I think back to those times, I'm like, boy.
That's such a long time ago.
It's such a long, but it doesn't feel like it, like, at all. Like, anyway, we could talk about how ancient I am. But anyway, give me an album and then we can do what the Italians do and get the fuck out of here.
Man, the Italian slander on this is going to be crazy. But anyways,
I'm not slandering the Italians. They say that though.
based on our Loki episode that we did, we just went in.
Racism's not cool. Anyway,
yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
This project I want to give you to listen to, I'm a bit torn because it's very short. It's like 17 minutes long, but there's like another version of it as well, which has the same songs, but they've got remixes, like remixed beats, different beats, but they've also got like featured rappers on there. But it's like The Alchemist does a remix for it. Robert Glasper does a remix for one of the songs. And I'm tempted. I really like that version, but I feel weird giving you that version and not the original, if that makes sense. And then part of me is like, should I just give you both to listen to?
So it would be like what, like 40 minutes worth of listening, right?
It'll be like two sides of an album. It'll be like almost like a side A and then a side B.
Go on then.
Yeah.
Give myself more work.
The remix one is 20 minutes long. How about just
this is light work, bro. This is light work. I'll do both. Yeah. Go on.
Okay, do both. I was gonna say if you just listen to the original and then if you have time, listen to the other one, or if you remember, and then if it comes up in discussion, it comes up. But basically, the album is called Unlocked by Denzel Curry.
I was going to bring up Denzel Curry. I was going to bring him up because he did the Bulls on Parade, the Rage Against the Machine cover.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think it was Denzel Curry. And to be honest, like the guys doing the instruments, they were all right. He was channeling Zach De La Rocca, Z to the D. Yeah,
Curry. He doesn't get mentioned enough. He's so fucking good, and his voice, I really love his voice.
There's so much grit in his voice,
so much grit, but he's so nimble and kind of at the same time, and just I get good vibes from him. So I want to give you this album, Unlocked, produced by Kenny Beats.
Kenny Beats, yep, I've got it.
Yep,
and then it's Unlocked
1.5.
1.5, okay. Oh, this is new version.
Yep. So this is from this year. Yeah, from this year. But Unlocked is from early last year.
So I have been wanting to get into Denzel Curry ever since I saw that Rage Against the Machine cover. I was like, my goodness, yeah, that's how you do it.
I was going to give you another album of his, but then I thought this one's a bit more interesting, I think.
Cool, man.
I think, you'd find this one a bit more interesting. You might have seen the track list. The names are quite weird.
Cosmic I've actually heard.
Okay. But they've got like, Pyro Leak 2019, Cosmic.M4A, things like that. But there's a reason, and then the first one is just called Track 01. Like there's a reason for that. There's this music video which is like for all the songs, and it's all animated, and they're trying to their music has been stolen and they're trying to get it back. Hence why the names have like the file names.
Cool.
Effectively.
All right.
I haven't watched it yet, but if you remember, I'll try and remember to watch
more homework.
Yeah, but if you don't, that's not essential.
Yeah, man. Cool. I will check it out though. We got time.
I love the album cover as well. So
let's hope the music reflects that.
Yeah, well, I'm a fan of this shit, so I'm interested to hear what you think. Cool, man. That's Unlocked by Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats, and potentially Unlocked 1.5 as well. So that would be sick. That's that. That's my exchange for you for next week.
Boom. All right. Cool. Let me outro this. This has been a lot of fun for our returning listeners. If you've made it this far, blessings to you. Thank you so much for listening to us ramble on. This went on a lot longer than I thought it would.
How long did we go for?
Oh, bro, I don't know. I think close to 2 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is longer than I thought too.
Yeah, man. But yeah, it's been great. And to any of the new listeners who've tuned in this far, welcome. We welcome your support, but B, your participation. If you've got any ideas or whatever, give us a shout. We're on the socials, man, and we'll link to them all in our description of this video. This has been great and a lot of fun. So thank you very much. And I'm going to say peace out in 3, 2, 1. Peace. We got that one.